Donald Trump was convicted of 34 felony counts in New York, but the question for investors is, how is this going to impact DJT stock? Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, I'm going to tell you this up front. I am keeping this on the focus of money and the stock market. I don't have a degree in law. I don't have a degree in politics. I do have degrees, plural, in economics and money. Okay, that is what we are keeping this focused on. So all the other stuff, I'm not qualified to talk about. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it focused on what I am qualified to speak on. So I've got 4 major things I want you to pay attention to and some things that I would really be concerned about and take notes on if you are concerned about the stock, if you own the stock, or if you are trying to make money off of the stock. All right. The first one is this. At the time that we are doing this and we are looking at after hours market data, and this is about an hour, maybe an hour and a half after these announcements came through. We know that he was convicted of 34 counts in New York. At this point in time, we'll see if there's going to be an appeal. I don't know, nor do I know what that process is, because remember, I don't have a legal degree, or a law degree rather. The stock is down about 8%. The time that I looked at it before we were recording, it was down 7.8%. That does not guarantee that tomorrow morning, Friday, that the stock will be down. There's a lot of time between the time the market opens at 9:30 and the time the market closes at 4 p.m., okay? But it looks like investors may lose money tomorrow morning. Now, if you're a long-term investor, who knows what's going to happen between the time the market opens and the time the market closes. But it looks like it could be a relatively rough ride. But moving on to point number 2, this is my bigger concern, not my biggest one, because I have a much bigger concern here pretty soon. But here's the thing. If you paid attention to their earnings report that came out about a week or so ago, and I stared at this for about 2.5 minutes. I wanted to make sure I got the numbers right. Their revenue was $770,000 for the quarter. Okay, $770,000, 770, $770,000. I had to keep saying it because I really had to focus on it. Okay, they brought in $770,000. That's revenue, money that they brought in from ad sales or wherever else they make their money. The net income is after all the bills were paid, okay? All the stuff was paid. They lost money, which is not, that's not the worst thing in the world, especially if you're a tech company. It is okay, especially if you're relatively new, which this company is, okay? I'm being fair across the board here. Tech companies do lose money in the early goings. It's how much money they lost compared to their revenue. These margins are not thin. They lost $327 million. Okay, you brought in 770,000, but you lost 327 million. For those who aren't really paying attention, there is an extra 0 here on that loss column. Okay, that's the problem here. You are losing a whole lot more money than you are bringing in, and it is not close. So that is a major issue here, and this has been consistent across the board. This is a failing business model at this point in time. Can they change it? Eventually, hopefully for them, yes. The question is, will they? Now, if you go back and look at our original video when this company went public, they don't seem to really have a true business model other than quote unquote free speech. That's not a business model. That's just words. That's not a product. Okay, it's the same thing Elon Musk said when he wanted to take over Twitter. I think we can all say that just because you change Twitter to X doesn't make it a better product. For those who have been on the site, I think we can all say it's been a lot worse. The ads have gotten weirder. I've gotten more spam. It just hasn't gotten better. Free speech is not a good product. That's not a product at all, okay? That aside, it's not a good business model. But I will tell you this. In the defense of not having a good product and not having good finances, that doesn't mean it can't make money. We can look at GameStop, we can look at AMC. There have been some really terrible companies who have lost money that have made investors a lot of money. In fact, GameStop in and of itself, in the last 2 weeks or so, shot up about 50%. Now, I will tell you, if you go back and look at about May 14th, you'll see the stock shot up. We did a video about it, right? And it's also fallen about 50% since then. So it can be volatile. If you knew when to time it, which is very difficult to do, you may or may not have made money during that swing. So the question is, are you lucky enough? Are you fast enough to know when to get in and to get out, which is not something I necessarily advise, because again, it's extremely difficult to do. Okay, so that is a part of this. Okay, so it's not a great business model. That's not good. The stock is down right now due to this bad news. So what are the other two major concerns? Because it's already starting off on a bad foot. So the two major concerns, or the two bigger concerns rather, and as we get into this, make sure you check out the free guide on how you can buy your first stock in 20 minutes. That link is down right here somewhere, and it's also in the description below. You want to know how to buy your first stock, 20 minutes or less? Make sure you get the guide. It's a free PDF, all the apps, all the steps right there for you for free. All right, here's the thing. Will his supporters boost the stock? Can they make this a wave? Will they push this stock and make this thing insane where it does not make sense? There is evidence to say yes, that could happen. The concern there for someone who is on the outside to say, hey, I'm an investor, I really don't care about none of this, I'm just here to make money, is can you depend on that? And is that something that you're willing to risk your own money on? That's not something I would risk my own money on, because I don't know, and that's not I can't predict groups of people. Okay, that's not something I can do. That's not something I'm willing to do, and I think that's a too big of a risk for me. You do what you want to do, right? But I can't bet my portfolio on what other people are going to do, especially a volatile group of people. The same, I can't predict what Reddit groups and Facebook threads, kind of stuff is going to do at any point in time about any particular subject. People say a whole bunch of stuff about what they're going to do about stocks and not do them. Okay, that's not a good investing strategy. So that's not something. And this is a side note. There were entire we had covered this a long time ago, but there were entire ETFs that tried to do this. I think it was called Buzz. They were looking at social media buzz about what stocks people were talking about, what things were trending at the time, and invest in those things. Have you seen how well that ETF has done? You haven't, have you? That's the point. It is very difficult to try and capitalize on what other people are saying and thinking and expect you to outsmart the crowd and try and get in front of that. That's not a great investing strategy. But again, can they bid this up? Can they push the stock to do well? If you zoom out, not just today, but if you zoom out, the answer would be yes, because despite the losses that we can all see this company has lost tons of money, the gains have been there. There's no logical reason as to why the stock is up more than 100%. But its supporters have pushed the stock higher. So, logically, one would say, yeah, they're going to pour into this. Perhaps they're going to support him and say, let's stick it to the man, let's stick it to whoever, and push the stock higher. The question is, are they going to continue to do that, or have they spent their money already? I don't know. Because if they were going to do that, why is the stock down 8% right now? I don't know, right? So those are the questions that I would be asking. But when I move on to my biggest concern is number 4. At the time that we're doing this, and there could be appeals that he could file, he could extend and stretch these trials out for, all the way through the election. And then that's the biggest question mark. And there are other things that can be thrown in here that can extend these question marks. But at the time that we're doing this, he owes nearly $550 million, okay? $500 million is what he owes across the board for the business lawsuits, the E. Jean Carroll lawsuits, and just all this stuff. Now, again, I'm not here to argue whether or not they are legitimate or the legality of them. It ain't my business. All I do is add these numbers up, okay? That's all I do. Don't come at me for all that. That's not me, okay? But if you owe that much money, and from what we know, he does not have that money in cash. He's already admitted that he does not have that money in cash, because when a New York judge asked him to pay the bond for one of those lawsuits, he said, I ain't got it, and had to actually negotiate that bond down because he did not have it in cash. So we know he ain't got it in cash. So the question is, where is the money going to come from when all of this money is due? If this was you in this situation, would you A, sell a property, which you are known for? He is primarily, outside of the presidency, he is primarily known for being a real estate tycoon, a real estate billionaire, right? A real estate person. Would you rather sell a portion of real estate, which we know takes a long time, which you know does have its benefits when it comes to taxes and other things, Or would you rather sell a stock that you are the face of, that you know is relatively liquid, and that you know you can really change the value of pretty quickly? Because you can tweet, or whatever True Social is, I don't know what you call it when you tweet, but you can change the value of it pretty quick. You can say some stuff and the value goes up, right? You can say some negative things and the value goes down, right? Would you rather sell that and get rid of that pretty quickly, and get the money pretty quickly, right? You know how it is when you sell stock, money can be in your bank account very quickly versus real estate. Would you rather sell that, or would you rather sell a major building? Which one would you rather do? I would rather sell the stock. I'm getting the money a lot faster. The money can quote unquote grow back, right? Once I sell a building, it's gone. I can sell a portion of the stock, and if things go well, the stock can continue growing, just like I've done with NVIDIA. I can sell a little bit, NVIDIA hits a new high. Great, I'm right back where I was, right? Once that building's gone, it's gone. So that's what I would do. And I would presume that's what he would do as well. At the time we're doing this video, he owns about 60% of DJT. Now, there is something called a lockup period. He cannot sell, at this point, he cannot sell any of that stock until 6 months after March. At the time we're doing this, it is currently May. We're almost in June. We're just hours away from June. So it's going to be close to September, which is just 2 months away from the election, when he is able to sell. If you owe that money, and he still owes that money at that point in time, we don't know if that's going to be the case. Is he going to sell a major portion of it at that time? Come September, will the stock tank? If you are someone who is a long-term investor, should you be a long-term investor of DJT? Should you sell before September? What is going to happen in September with the stock? We don't know. That would be a major concern for me as well. Or should I wait until September, let the stock fall, buy it then? But then also, what's going to happen with the election, and will the stock bounce, right? I have no idea. These are my concerns. And if I'm an investor, I would have a lot of anxiety around those things. Now, if you're somebody who prefers to say, look, I don't want to have anxiety around my stocks. I don't want to be worried about the stock market when it comes to my money. If you ask me, I don't want to. Okay, I don't want to be worried about my money either. And you want things that are relatively stable and preferably make money, I don't know, like 600%. That's me. That's what I would prefer to do with my money as well. I've got something for you. Okay, I've got 4 stocks in the healthcare sector that have done quite well. One of them has made 600% over the last 5 years, and another I think will make you look like a genius. If you want to know what those 4 stocks were, you want to check out this video right here.